Welcome, my people. I got another good one for you today. But first things first, if you haven't already, tap the subscribe button. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Also, I would love to hear what you guys think. So make sure you leave a comment. Thank you guys in advance. You are all very appreciated. Okay, let's jump into the story. What do you think about when you think of Easter? Maybe a Easter egg hunt or a Easter suit or something, right? Yeah, this story may change your thought on Easter completely. His name is James Urban Ruppert, born March 29, 1934. He reported to have had a troubled life. His mother told him that she wanted to have a daughter as her second child, but instead she got him. His father Leonard also had a violent temper and showed little if any affection for his two sons. Leonard died in 1946 from tuberculosis at the young age of 37, when James and his brother Leonard Jr. were ages 12 and 14. Leonard Jr. became the father figure of the family, and he constantly picked on James when they were growing up, often taunting him. At 16, James was so dissatisfied with his home life that he ran away and attempted to commit suicide by hanging himself with a bedsheet. He was obviously unsuccessful and returned back home. As an adult, James stood 5'6" and weighed 135 pounds. He was described as a modest, nerdy, and helpful man who was unremarkable and quiet. In addition, he had no police record. By 1975, James Ruppert had grown envious of his older brother's successful job and family. James himself had dropped out of college after only 2 years, then trained as a draftsman, although by 1975 he was unemployed, not married, and was still living at home with his mom. While on the other hand, his older brother, Leonard Jr., had earned a degree in electrical engineering and had married one of the few girlfriends James, his younger brother, had ever had. He owned his own home in the city of Fairfield and had 8 children. Charity, their mom, was frustrated with James' inability to hold a steady job and his constant drinking. She had threatened to kick him out of her house on more than one occasion. James also owed his mother and older brother money, having lost much of what little cash he had in the 1973-1974 stock market crash. A month before the massacre, James inquired about silencers for his weapons while purchasing ammunition. His behavior deteriorated, caused by a deep depression as he neared his breaking point. On March 29, 1975, his 41st birthday, witnesses had seen him engaging in target practice shooting tin cans with his .22 pistol and .22 rifle along the banks of the Great Miami River in Hamilton. The night before the murders, James went out like he did nearly every other night at the 19th Hole Cocktail Lounge. He talked with an employee, 28-year-old Wanda Bishop. She would later state that James told her he was frustrated with his mother's demands on him and his impending eviction, and that he needed to solve the problem. According to Bishop, Ruppert stated that his mother had complained that if he could afford to buy beer 7 nights a week, he could afford to pay the rent. Ruppert left the bar at 11 p.m. that night and later returned. When Bishop asked him if he had solved the problem, he replied, "No, not yet." James stayed at the bar until it closed at 2:30 a.m. On Easter Sunday, March 30th, 1975, James' brother Leonard Jr. and his wife Alma brought their 8 children ranging in age from 4 to 17 for Easter dinner at their house located at 635 Minor Avenue. James stayed upstairs, sleeping off a night of drinking, while the other family members participated in an Easter egg hunt on the front lawn at around 4 to noon p.m. James woke up, loaded a .357 Magnum, 2 .22 caliber handguns, and a rifle, then went downstairs. Charity was preparing sloppy joes in the kitchen, in the company of Leonard Jr. and Alma. Most of the children were playing in the living room. He killed Leonard Jr. when he shot him in the head in the kitchen, then his sister-in-law Alma when he shot her. Then, as his mother lunged at him, he shot her once in the head and twice in the chest. David, 11, Teresa, 9, and Carol, 13, were later killed by him. James turned the corner into the living room. One by one, James shot his remaining niece and nephews: Anne, 12, Leonard III, 17, Michael, 16, Thomas, 15, and John, 4. Charity had been shot once in the chest. The remaining victims were shot in the head and shot again to ensure they had died. The only sign of a struggle at the crime scene was one overtunid Wastepapa Bean, the Butler County coroner, theorized that James had likely shot some victims more than once to prevent Annie One escaping. The massacre was over in less than 5 minutes. After spending 3 hours in the house, James finally called police and said, "There's been a shooting." He waited just inside the front door and waited police to come. The murder shocked the town of Hamilton. Those who knew James did not think he was capable of violence, especially at the level of this particular massacre. By all accounts, neighbors considered the Rupperts a nice family. James was arrested and charged that very same day with 11 counts of aggravated homicide. He refused to answer any questions asked by the police and was very uncooperative. He made it very clear he would plead insanity. County Prosecutor John Holcomb viewed the crime scene and stated that there was so much blood on the first floor, it was dripping through the floorboards into the basement. James had fired a total of 35 rounds, and all 4 weapons used in the crime were recovered at the scene. All the 11 victims were buried in Arlington Memorial Gardens in Cincinnati, Ohio. A year later, the house was open to the public, and all of its contents were auctioned off. It was then cleaned, recarpeted, and rented to a family new to the area, whose members were unaware of the murders that had taken place there. The new family later left the house, claiming they were hearing voices and other unexplained noises. Other families have moved in and out, and the house is still occupied. The original trial was held in Hamilton, Ohio, in June 1975. The 3-judge panel found James Ruppert guilty on 11 counts of murder and sentenced him to life in prison on July 3rd. A mistrial was declared because the 3-judge panel did not know if the ruling had to be unanimous or majority rule. It was decided that the retrial would be held in Findlay, Ohio, 125 miles north, because it was believed James could not receive a fair trial in the city of Hamilton. The second trial began in July 23, 1975, and prosecutors revealed evidence involving the witnesses who had seen James Ruppert engaging in target practice, asking about silencers for his gun collection, and admitting that his mother's expectations were a problem that he needed to solve. In July 1975, James Ruppert received 11 consecutive life sentences. On appeal, a new trial was granted in 1982. Defense attorney Hugh D. Holbrook, convinced his client was insane, personally funded the hiring of expert psychiatrists and psychologists from all over the country. On July 23, 1982, another 3-judge panel found Ruppert guilty on 2 counts first-degree murder, his mother and brother, but found him not guilty on the other 9 counts of murder by reason of insanity. He received 1 life sentence for each count, to be served consecutively. Capital punishment had been suspended in the United States from 1972 to 1976 as a result of the Supreme Court's decision in Furman v. Georgia. The mass murders on Minor Avenue had occurred in 1975, and James Ruppert could not receive the death penalty for his crimes. On July 30, 1982, at the age of 48, Ruppert was incarcerated with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction, ODRC, at the Franklin Medical Center in Columbus, Ohio. His assigned inmate number was A169321. On June 1995, at the age of 61, Ruppert was granted a hearing before the State Parole Board, but his release was denied. He received subsequent parole board hearings in 2005, age 71, and April 2015, age 81, all of which he was denied release. In 2015, the Allen Oakwood Correctional Institution Parole Board released a statement. The board has determined that the inmate is not suitable for release at this time. The inmate has not completed any recommended programming and does not appear to be willing to do so. The inmate's record notes negative institutional conduct. The inmate took the lives of multiple victims. There has been strong community objections to his release. The release of this inmate would not be in the best interest of justice. James Ruppert's next parole consideration hearing was set to occur April 2025, when he would have been 91. On June 4, 2022, at the age of 88, James Ruppert died from natural causes while incarcerated at the Franklin Medical Center in Columbus, Ohio, a unit of the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction. Well, that's it, guys. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and also let me know what you guys think in the comments. Also, make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss future videos. Thank you, guys. I'm out.